Now, you never know how God will use you and what kind of impact you will make in the world. Your job is just to be open and responsive to the calling. And when you're responsive, I guarantee God will fulfill your dreams just like Adam Gray. Once a 400-pound man who is now a lean, mean machine, coaching and showing others how to do the same thing with nutrition, along with some workouts, of course. But I know one thing, God is moving in Adam's life and he could do the same in yours. So let's get into this conversation with Adam. Why not you? All right, ladies and gentlemen, this is your host, D. Wells. So why not you? And today I am joined by Mr. Adam Gray. This man, I mean, I tell you, he's doing nutrition, he's doing fitness training, developing mock meals for people. He's coaching them just to get their health together, man, so they can actually live their best life. And man, I just want to thank you for coming on.
Thanks, man. I'm happy to be here. I
Yeah.
appreciate you having me on. I can't wait. I'm excited.
So man, just man, because you actually look like an athlete, man. Did you play sports growing
Yeah, I
up?
played. Yeah, sorry. I played a bunch of sports growing up. Played soccer, hockey, baseball. I skied. In my later high school years, I played some lacrosse. I was all over the place.
Were
Played a
you
little,
really?
tried to do a little bit of everything.
Now, out of all the sports that you did play, what do you think is your, or what would you say is your favorite?
So my favorite is actually soccer, which might sound kind of surprising. If you saw me, I'm a pretty big guy.
Yeah,
I used to be even bigger in a not so fantastic way, but
yeah,
I always loved soccer growing up. I still do. I still play. Um, so yeah, I love all those other sports, but that's probably my favorite. That's the one I enjoy the most.
yeah. Now, man, I did have an opportunity, man. I was just kind of going through your social media, man, and saw some of the pictures that you had, and I was like, man, this is straight transformation. Then I saw something. It just kind of reminded me of like when you see old pics of like David Goggins, who everybody knows and familiar with, right? And you see the before and after, man. I was like, man, that it seemed like that was you at one point.
Yeah, I was a big guy. I at one point I've told this story a little bit on my social media, but at one point I was close to 400 pounds. I'm about 245-ish at the moment.
Mhm.
Got all the way down to 216 at one point. I don't know exactly what I got up to because when I hit about 330, 340, I was so embarrassed looking at the number that I used to step up on the scale backwards at the doctor's office because I didn't want to
Wow,
see that number anymore.
wow,
So and I know that, I had to have gone another good 40, 50, 60 pounds from there. So yeah.
man. So were you always like into the physical fitness?
So sort of. When I was younger, like I said, I loved sports.
Hmm.
So as I started to look into like what I was going to do for college and stuff, I generally went in that direction just because I loved playing all the sports, right?
Yeah.
So it started off looking a little bit more sports management. I didn't really enjoy the business part of it, so I took the turn and went towards it was exercise physiology, but more sports medicine related.
Okay.
Um, and fell in love with it there. And
Wow.
since then, I finished school with a bachelor's degree in exercise physiology. I got nationally certified, and I've kind of been working at honing my craft since then. And that was 2013.
Wow. Now, with that kind of degree, I mean, could you actually go and work for a professional sports team if you wanted to?
So with that degree in coupled with my background, my nationwide certification, I could. Most teams are looking for like master's degrees and things like that, and there's a
Uh-huh.
lot of networking involved too. But theoretically, could I work my way through the system and get to that? Yeah, I could. You can use that. That degree is kind of like an in between. Like some people go like cardiac rehab, some people go physical therapy, some people go strength and conditioning. It's kind of one of those that can go in a lot of different directions.
Got it. Man. So what do you think was like one of those defining moments for you to be like, you know what, I need to get my stuff together. I need to make some changes in my personal life. Otherwise, man, it's going to be a long road ahead.
Yeah, so I kind of just hit, I don't know, there wasn't like this one defining moment. A lot of people have like that one thing, like they woke up, but for me it was a lot of years of just like looking in the mirror and for lack of a less dramatic way to put it, kind of hating what I saw looking back at me.
Yeah.
Um, and dealing with some stuff that was going on in the background and everything, I guess I finally got to a point where I had healed enough that I could start looking outward. I started doing some walking, some basic, I started doing some lifting. I'd been lifting for a lot of years, but more in the vein of trying to drop body fat rather than what I was doing before, which is basically just going and, hey, it's Monday,
Right.
let's bench.
Yeah.
Tuesday, you know what? Let's bench again. Wednesday, so much more, whole body, whole health focused. And from that point, it was just making small steps. And the more I learned, the more it compounded, the more I was
Right.
able to lose, and just took time.
Yeah. Now, do you think a lot of people, man, because I know like just when I used to think about how it was back in the day when I was working out, I would say kind of like the same thing. Okay, it's gonna be bench on this day, back, legs on this day, uh, maybe a day of rest and then hit up shoulders or something like that. But it seems like actually, I mean, you need a plan to actually follow, and you have to have some type of goal that you actually want to achieve. So, but
Yeah. Yeah.
how hard was that for you just like in the beginning? Or was that something that you already kind of had planned out? If, I mean, just since you've actually wanted to go this route and be like, okay, I do need to make this change.
Yeah, so before I got because this kind of job is very much like you go to school, you get certified, but you really learn a heck of a lot more once you actually get into the career field a little bit more, once you get
Mhm.
into the job. So when I was trying to lose that weight, it was very, very basic. Seeing a program here from like Men's Health and Fitness and seeing, this exercise over here, this exercise a buddy told me about, my coach is making me run in practice. Like
Yeah.
your entire knowledge base is based around what happened in sports and what this buddy told you and you saw in that article over here. I worked at GNC for a couple years, so you'd have people coming in talking about this, that, and the other thing. So you just picked up little tidbits. But once I got into it more and I learned about programming, how to write an effective program that doesn't take you 3 hours to do, how to strengthen different portions of your body rather than just like thinking chest, back, buys, tries, a little bit more full body over the course of a shorter workout. So like more efficient,
Yeah.
less time taken. From there, it just compounded and I continued to learn more and continued to hone from that point forward.
Man. Now, how big do you think just discipline is just to maintain, right? Because I know there could be days when you're like, you know what, man, I've done enough. I've done enough for the day, or I've done enough for the week. I need a break.
It's huge. It is discipline and consistency are the two biggest. And there are people out there that will, fight for keto and intermittent fasting and this type of exercise and that type. But it all boils down to discipline and consistency. The biggest issue people have, or the biggest difficulty most people have, is that they want to lose whatever 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 pounds and they look at how can I get there the quickest? Like how is the fastest way to get me from here to there? And that's why they burn out. They
Yeah.
lose 20 pounds in a couple of weeks. They've had to exercise, 6 times a week. They're doing 6, 7 workouts a week. They're barely sleeping. They're
Yeah.
eating nothing. And then they burn out and they got nothing left. You can't be consistent. You can't have discipline when you got nothing in the tank. So
Right.
it's so huge to find a plan that you can be consistent and be disciplined in.
Yeah. I can only imagine if you're working out that much, because that's one of the things you need the most is rest also, just to allow your body to recoup. And
Yeah.
then eating the right kind of foods. Because I know a lot of people think, oh, I'm just gonna work out or I'm not gonna eat. So now you have nothing to sustain the body, right?
Right, exactly. To just cut the food, increase the exercise, and I'll get there. And
Yeah.
that works for a time, but not long.
So what made you go into like the coaching aspect of it?
Yeah, I found that a lot of people through my own life experiences
Mhm.
and I just enjoyed helping people with their health, right? So like for me, it was always through the lens of a lot of people were coming to me to want to drop body fat, feel better, have more energy, be stronger. Most of my career, with the exception of like a little bit of interning at the very, very beginning, has been working with, you know, everyday people. So it's
Yeah.
not D1 athletes, it's not professional athletes, it's moms and dads who just want to feel a little bit better, who want to be
Right.
who maybe want to drop a little bit of body weight, but the most important thing is like how are they able to show up for their kids? How are they able to show up for their jobs, their coworkers, their
Hmm.
family? Like they're not worried about as much about how much did I bench. They're worried about can I pick up my son or daughter who's 6 years old and weighs 60, 70 pounds. You know what I mean? Like
Right.
can they do that? Um, so yeah, I just found that I identified with those people that weren't necessarily the high end athletes. I mean, some of them were very athletic and, had those kind of goals, but like just wanted to feel better,
Right.
be stronger, be more mobile, be more independent. And so the longer I've been in that, and those are the people that like are really stoked when they
Yeah.
get to the end result,
Right.
right? Like an athlete is stoked if they pull, a half second off a 40 time, obviously, but it's nothing compared to, the mom who's been trying to get more energy and hasn't been able to for years. And then you're able to help them feel so much better, feel better in their skin, it's just it's so much more rewarding.
Yeah. And I know, like, just as you're talking, it just makes me think about, like, one, the thought process that people have to have in order just to, or you have a vision, you know what you need to do, but like it kind of goes back to earlier also, the discipline, and not really worrying about the next day. And I think that's one of the things that I just love about like just coaching in general. When when we have an opportunity to work with somebody, and somebody who wants to get from point A to G or whatever it is, there's steps and increments to actually get there. And sometimes people they get overwhelmed, with the vision, because I mean, they might feel like, well, I'm not on track, or I'm not seeing this immediate progress. And then all of a sudden they start to lose focus, or they might cheat or something. They might start deviating. And instead of just maintaining in the present, that is so huge. So, what are some of the ways that you actually keep people in the present and not allow them to drift off and be like, hey, don't worry about tomorrow. Don't worry. Just focus on today, dog.
Yeah, absolutely. A lot of it comes down to just reframing. So
Yeah.
like somebody will come to me and say like, I had a bad weekend. Okay, what was a bad weekend? Well, Saturday went all right. I ate pretty well, and then Sunday happened, and Sunday morning I had, I had good breakfast, and then we went out on the boat, for lunch, and
Yeah.
I had a couple of beers, and we had some hot dogs and some hamburgers, and I'm like, I feel so bad. I failed. I screwed it up. And then like, so it's like, okay, hold on. Let's pause a second. Let's take a
Right.
look at this overall. We know you struggle with weekends. How'd you do on Saturday? I did great. I had a great breakfast, a great lunch, a great dinner. I got my workout in. I went for a walk, Okay. How did Sunday morning go? Okay, I had a great breakfast. Okay. How did Sunday night go? Well, after the lunch, I kind of got back into it. I really wasn't that hungry. I wasn't feeling that great, so I just kind of like got a good night's sleep. Okay. So what you're telling me is that of the 2 weekend days that we know you struggle with,
Right.
you had one meal that was like, if you want to call it off track, like compared to when I started talking to you, and every weekend was a free for all. It was just
Yeah.
chaos, right?
Right.
So a lot of it is just it's just reframing what they're doing. It's
Yeah.
extending the timelines. It's making sure that people understand that yeah, we've been doing this for a week. You shouldn't see 10 pounds in a week, 10 pounds
Yeah.
drop in a week, right? If you
Right.
do, then something else is happening and we don't that's too fast. It's not real, it's not sustainable. We don't want that. Or
Right.
we have to know that it's probably going to go the other direction afterwards, right? So
Yeah.
it's because then what happens if we don't frame that?
Mm-hmm.
So they drop 10 pounds and then the next week it goes back up 8. They don't
Right.
see that's a 2 pound loss. That person on the other end sees I lost 10 pounds and I screwed up and I gained 8 back.
Yeah.
You know what I
Right.
mean? So it's a lot of reframing, it's lengthening the timelines. It's a lot more on the mental side than you
It
might
is,
think.
isn't it? That's one of the things I love just, even when you think about like meditation, and I'm not sure like if you actually incorporate meditation, but that's just one of the things I'm just like a huge component a fan of is just being in a place where okay, I know where I don't want to be, right? But focusing on what I do want, um, getting rid of those disbeliefs, the whatever site, if they're limiting beliefs or other people's opinions, because be honest, there's some people out there who just don't want us to succeed no matter what. They rather just hold us back. They rather pull that coattail and keep us from progressing. But also being in a place, man, where we actually like start visualizing what it is that we want and attaching some type of emotion to that, man, that's huge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just reminding people that like the goal is like, yes, you want to get, maybe you want to drop, maybe you come and talk to me, you want to drop 20 pounds, right?
Hmm.
But what you really want is to be able to walk by the mirror without hating the reflection there,
Yeah.
right? Like, yeah, it's finding that like spot of kind of like acting as if, like, what if this works? Like, what
Yeah.
if losing 20 pounds in 20 days is not the way to go? What if
Yeah.
a longer timeline helps you get there? Like
Right.
yeah, yeah.
Do, do you ever find, I mean, because I just thought about this as you were just talking, well, as you mentioned timeline, because I know sometimes you might have like 30, 60, 90, however many days it could be. Um, and I'm not sure, it just kind of depends on that person's habits, their eating style, and the willingness to actually just go full steam and they just want it bad. And so they're willing to do whatever. But when somebody gets to a place just like, what you just shared, where it's almost like a breaking point where they feel like, oh, I'm just done. I'm no good because it happens. Do you, are you able to like share like personal references or stories that you might have had just to be like, listen, I was once there kind of thing, and this is such and such, and this is what I did, or this is what I've done to overcome it?
Yeah. So when I lost all the weight initially,
Hmm.
um, I did not realize at the time. So I lost the good chunk of that weight back in about 2015, 2016. And I didn't realize at the time that that fast weight loss and that huge weight loss had set me up for all kinds of mental issues from that point
Did it
forward.
really?
Yeah. It just, and it's not so much like the fact that I lost the weight fast per se. It was
Yeah.
the mindset of like totally cutting out carbs and doing this extreme exercise and doing I did a nutrition plan where it was 4 protein shakes and 1 meal a day for I think it was like 2 months straight.
Wow.
Like extreme stuff like that. And I came out of it with this kind of mental difficulty where I would look in the mirror and I would see the guy that was 350, 400 pounds, even though I weighed, whatever, 220,
Uh-huh.
225 at the time. And it took me years to get out of that,
Wow.
to stop seeing that. It took me working with nutrition coaches and mindset coaches and people that could again reframe what I was seeing and what the expectation was.
Yeah.
So a lot of the time, that's what I'm drawing from is when I talk to someone and they're like, I don't understand why I'm still beating myself up over this.
Yeah.
Okay. You told me that you've been struggling with on and off dieting for 5 years. We've been working together for 2 months. Neural pathways happen, right? You've been every single time that you've fallen off a diet over the last 5 years, you've beaten yourself up and you've tortured yourself by ingesting all the things that you had decided were no more, right?
Yeah.
It's just an endless cycle. you got to give it more than 2 months to fully recover from that because those neural pathways, those mindsets, they don't just flip. They
Right.
take
They don't.
time and they take continual conscious effort to reframe that, to reconnect different pathways to get to the point where you don't feel like you failed because
Hmm.
you had a cookie.
Right.
It takes time. You got to give it time.
You do. Man, it's the mindset is so powerful. And I know somebody we just beat ourselves up. And whenever I think about the mind, for whatever reason, I always go back to the Bible. And it's just the story of Moses freeing the Israelites from the Egyptians. And even though they're free at this point and they experience miracle after miracle, um, God still can't change their mind. And it's like it's no matter what somebody actually goes to, it's that person just has to go through it on their own. They have to work it out somehow. But I know without having some resources or a coach or somebody to actually talk them and walk them through it, man, it could be a difficult, long process.
It
Yeah,
definitely can be. I
yeah,
mean, when you come down to it, coaching is basically it's it's efficiency. It's I can't think of the right word, but basically you're taking time, all the time that it took me to learn these lessons. It took me years to learn these lessons. And because of that, I'm able to help you in months.
right.
It's getting you further ahead faster. It's making you feel more content, more energy, more whatever it is, because I can give you the plan. You know what
Right.
I mean? You don't have to figure it out. You don't have to spend years listening to your friend who does Pilates and then the other friend who says that you have to run and then the other friend that says, well, it's all about doing 10 to 12 reps per set. You
Right.
just come to one place and have one person create one individual plan for you. And that's
Yeah.
what I do.
Do you ever have you ever come across or just like met anybody who it's like they all right, they know that you're a good person, they know that you're a good coach. Then all of a sudden they get online and then they might see something else that might be a more appealing or it just looks appealing and they think that, oh, this person right here is going to take me to the promised land a whole lot quicker. So let me go this route instead of just sticking with one person. That kills me sometimes.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
That is that is the fitness industry 101. It
Yeah.
is shiny for, it sounds a little derivative, but shiny object syndrome.
Yeah.
It's because what I am very much, and it's difficult because you get online and there are people that are preaching that take this supplement that I sell and you'll lose 30 pounds in the next 30 days.
Yeah.
Do this meal plan that costs you whatever amount in the next 30 days, you'll lose 30 pounds. And I'm getting on there saying, listen, I want you to feel better. I want you to lose a little bit of weight, but we want to do it in a way that's consistent so that you keep it off, you feel better every day, and like for the rest of your life, you feel better.
Yeah.
Now, for you and I talking back and forth, who knows some of the pitfalls and that kind of thing, that sounds like a pretty good plan.
Right.
But for the person that's been dealing with that 30 pounds for 5 years, it's real easy sometimes for that person to say, well, yeah, but like thirty days right there.
Hmm.
Like no months, no years, no 30 days right there. 30
Yeah.
pounds, 30 days. I'm in. I'm in.
Yeah.
Take me now. You know? So it is a constant thing. It happens. Yeah. And again, it just comes back to, building trust with the person I'm working with and continually reframing the like, you've lost 30 pounds in 30 days before.
Right.
But we're working together now. So like it didn't stick. There was some other things in the background. So
Mm.
yeah, it definitely happens.
Now, what do you do like just to kind of vent I guess people out as far as because I know not everybody's a good fit or perfect fit for you just based on maybe their personality, maybe it's their needs, maybe they want you to perform the biggest miracle ever. Do you have like some type of assessment that you actually do just to kind of find out maybe I mean we can work together or maybe we can't work together?
Yeah. So first of all, when it comes back to if you like you checked into some of my social media stuff, if you check into any of my stuff, none of it is ever, this person lost 30 pounds in 30 days. I don't know
Mhm.
why 30 for some reason is off the top of my head
I
so
know.
so much, but I keep using the same
Yeah.
example, but regardless, everything is based around like real consistent weight loss, if that's what you're looking for, more energy, more independence. So most of the people that are reaching out to me or I'm having conversations with have seen that I'm not pushing fast weight loss methods in that way or
Hmm.
intense crazy exercise routines. So a lot of people that I'm talking to who have seen my stuff kind of know that I'm not going in that direction anyways.
Yeah.
So a lot of times it's not a real big surprise when they get on the call with me
Hmm.
and I, and that's the next step is I get on the call with them and I go over the process and kind of remind them that, this isn't something that's meant to be overnight. You may
Hmm.
not lose weight or inches every week. And because if you did, then that wouldn't be sustainable because that's not real. That's
Yeah.
not the way the human body functions. That's
Right.
so by the time we've gotten to the end of that call and after they've seen all my stuff, they kind of know what the deal is.
Right.
I have yet to run into a situation where anybody's been like, "Yeah, that all sounds great, but I want you to put me on X amount of calories and whatever." And if that did happen, then it would be a conversation of like,
Yeah.
"Okay, maybe I'm not the right fit for you because I don't that's not what I believe in."
Right.
And that's okay.
Hmm.
Maybe we're not a good fit, coach and client. And because I want anybody that comes to work with me to get real long lasting results and to get what they're looking for, right? It
Right.
does me no good as a coach if I tell you you're going to lose 30 pounds in 30 days and I come in and I trash you and you feel worse than when you started.
Right.
That's not good for me and it's not good for you.
Yeah.
So you've usually gotten to the point where they're not asking quite that.
Yeah. Hey man, have you seen that documentary on Netflix, Game Changers?
No, it's been on my watch list for like a
Okay.
few months. I just
Yeah.
keep not getting to it.
So there are you familiar with it though? As
It's
far as like the
that's
premise?
that the premise is that's the plant-based. That's talking about the plant-based lifters and that kind of thing, correct?
Right, right,
Yeah.
right. I was gonna ask it, I mean, because I know people, there's you just think about the food that we're eating nowadays has so many preservatives and different things. I mean, we probably don't even know everything that they put into the foods. But just like how big is just, you know, sticking to the produce side more so the meat side.
Yeah, so the produce compared to the meat side?
Yeah. As far as like nutritional value and that kind of stuff. I know like the meats they have, of course, like more protein. It's more, it fills you up more also. Whereas, the produce, man, you feel like you're just eating at a Chinese restaurant most of the time where the food is relatively light. And then it increases your metabolism, it seems like. Um, but I just know that green side, man, is an area where a lot of people avoid, but there's a lot of nutrients in those.
Oh yeah, no, both sides are extremely important. Like the pro if you're somebody that's plant-based and that kind of thing, then obviously you're going to be more in the produce side. And if you're somebody that eats a little bit of everything, it really depends on the person. There are some
Yeah.
people that do fantastic on plant-based. I've done plant-based and I felt great when I did it.
Hmm.
I ended up going back just because it was a little bit difficult to keep up with the schedule. And some people have specific reasons they do it compared to me, who was just kind of doing an experiment to see how I felt
Yeah.
eating plant-based.
Right.
Um, they're both so important. Like the protein, finding good sources of meat and chicken and all that sort of stuff is really important, but also finding that produce side of it is really important too. And a lot of the things that they're finding now is a lot of the things that, the some of the things that get broken down when you're eating a lot of meat, a lot of the stuff on the produce side negates some of that. So some of
Yeah.
the nitrogen when you break down meat, and so it's just very cohesive.
Yeah.
We developed as beings that were meant to eat. We're omnivores. We eat meat, we eat produce. We can make the choice now because we have
Yeah.
the availability to eat whatever we want.
Right.
But our body uses both those things and they work together to keep us healthy.
Mm-hmm. Man. I mean, I think about that kind of stuff, but also think about uh like how often when people actually take a bite of food, are they chewing it the right amount of size, right? To like really digest that stuff properly. It's like the last thing you want to do is just chew a few times and then swallow whole. Now you have like this big gut. People wonder why, man, why I have such a big gut?
Yeah, I mean, when we as a society now, everything's a rush,
Right.
right? We're shoveling food down as fast as possible. We either do one of two things most of the time. We either don't eat
Right.
or we're shoving food down as fast as we possibly can.
Yeah.
And the faster we're eating, the less efficient the digestion because we're always stressed, we're chronically stressed. And so the worse the digestion is going to be, the less of the nutrients you get, the less relaxed you feel, and the less
Yeah.
like satisfied you feel. That's why eating slow makes you feel satisfied. Eating fast, you're just like, okay, where's the next thing?
Yeah.
Right?
Right. So man, what really kind of provoked you or inspired you to actually go on this transformation journey and actually share it with other people to help them get their lives together?
I just, at the end of the day, I think it's partially I like helping people. It's what I've always enjoyed doing.
Mm,
Um, Whatever the topic is, if I can help somebody through, I've moved that through health and fitness, but whenever I can sit there and somebody has something that they're struggling with and I can help them get past that,
yeah.
I've always really enjoyed that.
Yeah.
Um, Between that and I also think I'm just somebody that likes to problem solve. I like puzzles.
Yeah.
So it's a little bit of I love to help people. And the reason I think I've gone in this direction of more online coaching where I can work with people that have all kinds of different schedules and need something here and something there and need a
Mm,
different meal plan because they never can eat breakfast or whatever it is because then I can help them solve that puzzle that they've been trying to figure out, right?
right.
Only um their only way that they've seen exercise or dieting is to try and find 25 extra hours in the week in order to lose weight. And
Yeah.
like that's just not realistic for most people who
Yeah.
have full-time careers,
Mm-hmm.
kids, family that count on them.
Yeah.
They have maybe an extra 4 or 5 hours a week,
Mm-hmm.
at first,
Yeah.
unless they're like really digging in and like, I'm going to make this a priority. So it's how can I help them and how can I solve this for them or with them? Because
Yeah.
obviously they have to be part of the process.
Right.
Um, so that they then can live a happier, healthier life.
Man. And I know, I mean, you have so many people who have these 9 to 5 jobs, whatever they might have, and they're doing a lot of sitting down. And dude, I'm thankful that nowadays they got these desks that you can actually raise because when I'm at work on my 9 to 5, man, I'll crank that puppy up just so I'm standing, so I'm not always sitting. Um, but also the significance of just taking time to walk. Now, so everybody thinks that they need to run, but walking is just as important. How important is that? Or I mean, just physical activity other than like just lifting weights can actually help your body.
It's massive. It
Yeah.
is. maybe the biggest thing. There are all kinds of fantastic things that come from weightlifting and all that sort of stuff, but what most people don't realize is they're looking for, you hear people talk a lot about my metabolism is lower, right? My
Yeah.
wish that I could eat whatever I wanted like I did when I was in high school. And but what most people don't realize is that the biggest difference is how active they are just outright.
Yeah.
Like when we're in school, we are, we sit behind a desk, but realistically, when class ends, you're getting up, you're walking, you're going outside. If you're a
Mm-hmm.
kid, you're in recess or you're, going out doing this and that. And
Right.
a little bit less so now, but when we were kids, right? You were always active. Like
Yeah.
you were out running around, you were doing stuff, you were bugging the heck out of your parents, running around inside the house, right? You were constantly moving.
Yeah.
And then we become adults and we become sedentary. We sit behind a desk.
Right.
We get drained from that job, just from the constant need to be focused on a screen or whatever it may be. We
Mm-hmm.
go home and the last thing we want to do is then create more energy to go and do X, Y, and Z, do some kind of crazy workout or whatever it may be. So then
Yeah.
we sit more to try and rest and recover from the rest and recover. Well, I shouldn't say recovering, the seediness we were while we were working, but it
Yep.
still creates a mental fatigue,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yep.
The second that you start moving more and you getting those, I mean, that is the biggest difference. You can have
Yeah.
somebody that works out 5 days a week and only walks 1,000 steps a day will not get as good of results as somebody that works out 1 hour a week and gets 7 to 10,000 steps a day.
Yeah.
It's so huge.
Yeah. Man. I know that's one thing, man. I just like really kind of been focusing in on myself. It just doing more walking. Even though I have what do you call that bike? I have that the air assault bike and
Yep, yep, yep.
I'll hit that every once in a while, but still it's not like walking, like just getting the fresh air.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? That's a huge difference. Just being out and getting some sun and not being confined to a garage because that's where my bike is.
Yeah. I mean, because the other thing we don't think about too is like the stress piece that you're
Yeah.
mentioning. Like, get outside, feel the air. I mean, maybe not when it's 115 degrees,
Right.
but
Right.
but like the fresh air, the sun, the sounds, it's meditative. It's
Mm-hmm.
it's not staring at LED lights and hearing your voice reverberate off the walls the whole time.
Right.
It's just it's different. You
It
talked
is.
earlier about that, like being in the moment.
Mm-hmm.
Like a lot easier to do that when you're out on a walk than when you're sitting behind a computer screen or you're
Yeah,
scrolling on your phone or it's so huge.
it is. I find it, man, just going on walks, it just I don't even have to be listening to something like because most of the time, I mean, just in the past, I would always have like some kind of music on or something like that. But now it's more like just some kind of relaxing tone where it allows me to reflect and possibly, just kind of think about what I have going on, um, ways that I can actually add value to somebody else, or oh, I had this conversation with such and such, and man, I just start thinking about some of the highlights from that conversation. just, man, just so much. It is a lot that you actually get away from, that you can actually take away from walking, especially in
Yeah.
those moments. Yeah. So when you're actually like working with somebody, what is like your main objective, um, with that particular client?
So my main objective with everybody is getting the thing. It sounds so easy. Maybe easy isn't the right word. So simple.
Yeah.
But my main objectives are to get them moving, to get them walking, to get that active movement in,
Mm-hmm.
to get them to sleep, to get them to eat good solid foods and not beat themselves up when they have something that they enjoy
Yeah.
because this is real life. Like you can have a beer, you can have a cookie, you can have a piece of cake, it's okay. And to have them strength training so that they can be independent, they can do all the things that they need. So those are the big four rocks
Yeah.
that I really focus on.
Yeah.
Um, And then, once people have that solidified, we can get into more individual things. If
Hmm.
somebody needs more help with sleep or more help with nutrition or whatever, then the plan changes depending on the person. But those are the big things, is just get 7 hours of sleep,
Yeah.
work out 3 to 4 days a week, sometimes 2 to 3, depending on the person. I
Hmm.
work with a lot of almost exclusively with moms. So 2 to 3 is usually a good sweet spot.
Yeah.
Much more than that tends to get a little hectic. And just eating good, solid food that makes you feel full, feel good,
Yeah.
gives you the energy you need. It's just, yeah.
That's good. That's good. Yeah, I know, man. When I'm working with people, sometimes it's just allowing, getting them to a place where when they're kind of self-aware of what it is that they want to accomplish and if it's realistic. But definitely, man, just helping them break through those barriers that they impose on themselves sometimes. Uh, I mean, it's not easy all the time, but it's I think it just kind of comes down to like, how bad do you want it and making something realistic because it's not hard when kind of what you were talking about earlier, just simplifying it. Um, and I never forget, man, I heard this guy, and what's his name? I think is the Jerian, I can't remember his last name, but he talked about making your old hard, your new easy. And man, it's just a mindset shift, big time.
Yeah. It's,
So,
yeah.
and I know you hit on it earlier, just with eating and being able to have some of those cheat meals, because I know what that's like, man. I like sweets, but at the same time, it's like I gotten away from having a lot of sweets. But every once in a while, man, I might indulge. Red vines is my thing. I like red.
That's
It's,
funny.
it's sometimes when I think about it, I was like, why am I eating this rubbery plastic substance? But everybody has something.
Yeah. And I think it's unreal. I mean, you see, the more you see people try to make it so that, you know, they want everybody to look at food as fuel,
Yeah,
right? Like you go to a party and you shouldn't be focused on what food is there. You should be focused on like the people and this and that. And well, I believe in that partially. In what culture is togetherness and bonding and family
yeah,
not at some point gathered around the dinner table? We gather for Thanksgiving, we gather for Christmas, in other cultures they gather for meals, right? And
right.
food is so often at the center of celebration, of, you know, happiness, of sadness. Like,
Hmm.
for people to believe that those things have to be completely separated and that you should look at it only as fuel and not as part of togetherness or cultural understanding or whatever it may be. I mean, we have a phrase, it's breaking bread with someone else,
Right.
right? It's not having carbs for fuel with someone else there. No, you're
Yeah.
breaking
Breaking
bread
bread.
with someone, right?
Yeah.
So the expectation that you can't celebrate, you can't have food you enjoy because if you do, you're bad, right?
Right.
You use the word cheat, and I'm not like that's one that I really try and pull back because like cheat has such a negative connotation, but we
It does,
use it
doesn't it?
to describe the way we eat. I
Yeah.
cheated. Like
Yeah.
you're putting the fact that you had red vines on the same level as like what they say you do if you like have an affair with another partner.
Right.
Like I it just you didn't do anything wrong. You enjoyed something, and
Yeah.
now the next step is just like, okay, so have a solid dinner. You know what I
Right.
mean?
Yeah. Yeah. I think sometimes people just they beat themselves up. I mean, even I mean, I'm not even gonna go there. Because I don't know who's gonna watch, but you just think about some of the people who they say they want to change, but for whatever reason, they just don't. They don't have that willpower to tell themselves no. And that's kind of that's one of those heart-wrenching type of things because at the same time you start feeling bad for the person and you know that man, all it takes is just for you to change a couple things here and there. Just start off small and then constantly then evolve right to the more bigger things and changing for good. But in the meantime, man, just start small. Start where you
Right.
can. Yeah.
We think that everything has to be super complicated. That's
Yeah.
what it comes down to.
Mm-hmm.
Technology is complicated. What we
It
have to
is.
do every day is complicated. Our jobs are complicated. So being healthy couldn't possibly be easy,
Right.
right?
And it kind of
And
goes back to what you said initially that you like to solve things and solving this problem. Stop making it complicated. Let's find a solution for this and make
right.
it easy. Yeah. So what are some of the challenges that you often see just within your clients that you
The biggest one I tend to see, again, like I said, I work with a lot of moms, so there are a couple things that I specifically see very often.
Mhm.
Um, the first is falling back into that beating yourself up cycle. When we have our planning call with my
Mhm.
clients, like it's very much this is not meant to be an all or nothing. Like here are some amounts of, sweets and things like that. We set some boundaries, but we go into it with the mindset of like, I'm not expecting you to cut all this stuff out.
Yeah.
I wouldn't ask you to do that. We want to create something for you for years after this. But it very much starts out as I cut it all out. Like, I'll tell somebody who is having wine 4 or 5 nights a week, like, no, you can still have wine a couple nights a week. We're just cutting back a little bit.
Right.
And then they'll come to me and say, like, I haven't had wine in 3 weeks. I'm like, okay, that's great. And then they have one weekend where they have wine and they're like, I finished 4 bottles. Like, okay, see, so that's why we don't want to
Right.
be all or nothing. We want
Right.
to, I'm not telling you you have to drink wine, but I'm telling you don't try to cut everything out.
Yeah.
So there's that. And then the second one that I always run into is they start putting themselves on the back burner.
Mm.
So eventually when they're reaching out to me, it's because they've reached a point where they've decided that their health needs to be a priority.
Yeah.
And for the first few weeks, that may work out really well. And then the kids start getting busy. One of the kids is sick. They have a sick family member. Before you know it, they've put themselves 3, 4, 5, 6 rungs down on the priority list.
Mm.
And then it's kind of pulling back. Okay, when are you going to work out? What time of day? What day? When are you going to meal prep? When are you going to do a little bit of this? It's then helping them, I should say,
Yeah.
create that priority again. Those are the two biggest things I think I often see.
Wow. Man. So it seems like, I mean, just because I know in order to really be successful, I mean, nobody's going to be as great as the systems that they actually implement. So if you have like a good system just to, whether it's track or just to follow, um, as far as like eating plan wise, man, that goes a long way. And I know that you actually have to have a good system in place, even if you want to achieve some type of goal, and then have tasks associated with those goals. So man, everything that you're saying, man, is just making me think, and I dig it. I love it. I love it. But at this phase in your life and what you're doing right now, I mean, how would you define success?
So, success for me is how I can change the view of the person I'm working with.
Mm,
Whether it can be if I am working with someone and they make, because I don't like attributing it directly to weight, I mean,
Yeah.
somebody may lose 50 pounds, lose inches, and they're really stoked. And I'm happy
Mhm.
for them because I know that how hard it takes, how much work it takes to get there.
Yeah.
But realistically, some of my favorite things are the ones who I have clients that'll say like, it was real easy to get up and down off the floor with my grandkids or with my kids. Like I
Mhm.
had no trouble. I was able to, I've had a couple moms that'll say like my daughter got tired of running around before I did.
Yeah.
Like things like that. Just like the little things that show that they've changed their mindset to the point where they're going to have a better outlook on their health moving forward, where
Mhm.
they've found a way to work it into their life in a way that is sustainable long after they stop working with me.
Yeah.
That is success to me.
Dang. Yeah. I like that. Absolutely. It's all about the other person, helping them grow.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. Hey man, before I let you go though, I mean, just when you think about those people who they they want to change, they want to transform into becoming somebody great, but they just lack, confidence. They may lack um resources, or they just don't have a good environment to actually thrive in. Man, what can you say to that person just to uplift them and encourage them?
Start small.
Yeah.
Confidence comes from repeated I can't what's the phrase? Confidence comes from repeated, it's not repeated victory, but I'm blanking on the actual quote. But confidence comes from repeatedly completing a task that you set out to do over time. The harder you make it, the harder it is to build confidence. I've heard stories of people that I've worked with not with me personally, but other clients who have come to me after they started out going to the gym for 10 minutes. They walked in the door, they did one exercise, they went to the locker room, they left. They did that for a couple months. They practiced showing up.
Yeah.
And then before you know it, okay, showing up. All right, so I can stay for 20, 30 minutes. And then before you know it, those little things add up.
Right.
So for somebody who's really struggling with the confidence to do these things, or they feel like they've failed so many times in the past that there's no point,
Yeah.
give yourself time, start small. Start with creating a bedtime routine. Our bodies like consistency. The more consistent we are going to bed doing the same thing, the
Mm-hmm.
more restful our sleep is going to be.
That's right.
Maybe it's getting up at the same time each day. Doesn't have to be 5 a.m.
Yeah.
Can be 7. Can be 7. I mean, as long as you can do that with your life. But getting up at the same time. Drink water at each meal. Like start with something that is so easy to accomplish that you can't fall off.
That's right.
Accomplish it. Do it for a month. Then move on to the next small thing. Go for a walk for 5 minutes. Walk to the end of your driveway and come back
Yeah.
every day. Then go to the end of the block and come back. It just small steps done over and over and over, and that's how you're going to build your confidence.
That's great. Man, that is some good stuff, Adam. Yes, sir. Man, I definitely appreciate you coming on. Yeah, this was good. This was good. And for anybody that wants to come in contact with you and just reach you, how would they go about that?
Yeah, so my best way to get a hold of me is either with my email address, which is coach underscore Adam Adam at graymethodtraining.com, or Instagram Adam Gray underscore coach on Instagram.
Cool. And I'll be sure to throw those links up there as well too when we get ready to post. Yeah. This is
Awesome.
some good stuff, man.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it. I really enjoyed. I really enjoyed. I'm super stoked he had me on. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, me too. Me too. Bravo, bravo. What a great episode we just had with Adam Gray, a top-notch nutrition and fitness coach. And I loved it. Man, we had the opportunity just to dive into the the pitfalls of quick fix solutions that a lot of people have or try to have and implement, but also the importance of sustainable health habits. And I love how Adam shared his journey from going from 400 pounds down to 245 pounds, and his philosophy on just building discipline and consistency was powerful. Now, if you guys are looking to transform your health habits, definitely connect with Adam on the links below. He is a good dude, absolutely. But I definitely want to, I just want to thank you all just for watching this video. I'm excited about your growth and your transformation quest to become that person God has created you to be. Definitely hit the newsletter link, hit that button so you can actually get this updated content and resources that's available just for you. I guarantee it actually assist you with developing into the person you need to be in your growth. Trust me. I care about your development and success, so please let me know if there's anything that you would like me to teach on or any type of person that you might want to hear from. I love you all. Hit the subscribe button, and remember, we cannot become what we need if what? We remain where we are. God bless you. Have a great week.